Time travel, once reserved for the likes of Time Lords and mad scientists, now has become available to you, a weary traveller washed up on an unknown beach with something that resembles an arc reactor and a rock. The laws of time are now at your mercy. Just be careful not to kill any butterflies in the past, or cars might start flying in the present, or Elon Musk won't have purchased Twitter. Actually, wait, no. Go ahead, kill the shit out of that butterfly. What is up, everyone? My name is Dumbwaster Kai, and welcome to the third video in the worst survival game ever series. And boy, oh boy, do we have a game here. And I just want to say, before we begin, I originally recorded 7 hours of gameplay of this. However, clearly someone or something out there was looking to test me, and the recorded quality of the video turned out to be potato levels of atrocious quality. So, just for you, dear viewers, I put myself through this absolute mess of a game once more to get the quality you all rightfully deserve. Honestly, I felt like one of those wilderness content creators who trek miles to set up a camera, trek back, and then trek all the way back towards the camera for that perfect shot. You can just go ahead and call me the Les Miller of survival games. But without further ado, let's get into this, shall we? Grand Emprise Time Travel Survival is a lone survival game based solely around traversing through different timelines with the end goal of becoming God. This game is based and built around such an interesting concept but falls flat on its face on every single note it tries to hit. Developed and released a week ago by none other than TBJBU2. That's right, the same developer that made Karagon, survival robot riding FPS, which, by the way, if you haven't seen already, was the very first video in this series. Clearly a dev with high standards here, lads. This developer seems to have a bit of a track record for building half-finished, unpolished asset flip games, such as Outerverse, this being a Minecraft-style rip-off with reviews saying that it's a clunky, poorly made student hobby of a game. Now, these things wouldn't be a bad thing necessarily in some circumstances. In fact, they'd be absolutely acceptable for a lone amateur developer to put out there if he wasn't charging real-life money for them. But for this charlatan to be charging money for this pixelated, steaming dog turd of a game, it's basically robbery at this point. The dev's response to bad reviews also comes across as extremely childish and unprofessional. You'd think someone producing games of this caliber could absolutely take criticism that will inevitably come with the balls to charge people to play them. I'm not even sure where to begin with this game, if I'm honest. The more I played it, the more I felt wholeheartedly scammed. Grand Emprise was released on the 27th of July 2023 with an 11% day release discount totaling at £15.07. That is over 4.5 Tesco meal deals worth of game, and the fact I chose this over 4.5 meal deals physically hurts me. Right from the get-go, this game seems completely directionless. Waking up on a beach, you find a time machine that looks similar to Tony Stark's arc reactor and are told you need to fix it with stones. You have to pick up 10 stones and somehow fix this piece of insanely complex tech, like the Steve Jobs of the caveman world. But the issue I was finding already is that there's nothing telling you why or how you got here, or even still nothing to give me any reason why I should care. But after looking at the reviews, I found a response from the dev saying that he really likes the game as it is and isn't personally interested in story-based games. After fixing the time machine with a regular old sack of rocks, it gave me enough power to jump to the dino period. Which one, you ask? To which I say, good question. The T-Rex and the Triceratops would suggest the Cretaceous, but the Utah Raptor would put it 100 million years before that. But to be honest, I don't think the dev put any thought into this at all. Maybe I'm being a tad pedantic? I mean, who needs to focus on historical and atmospheric details in a time travel game, right? In this time period, you're tasked with throwing rocks with the force of a cannon at a dino to kill it for its meat, before feeding it to a smaller dino so you can ride it to a portal in a hidden cave. Why, I hear you ask? Well, the answer is obviously, who the fuck even knows? And at this point, I can sense the willpower to ask questions ebbing from me rapidly. Can you take the dino with you? Nope. Does taming and riding the dino actually benefit you in any way? No, don't be silly. Does it all just feel like a monumental waste of time? A resounding yes. But hey, at least I look cool and totally comfortable riding said dinosaur, right? Right? Through this portal, we arrive at an actually impressive looking ancient temple, and you can't help but be a bit awestruck at how incredible this looks. You walk around thinking to yourself, wow, how did one solo developer do all this? They must be a super developer. Well, you would be forgiven for thinking that, until you realise the dev didn't create any of this, and it's a blatant and lazy asset flip from the Unreal Marketplace, of which I've even found a listing for here. Now, there's nothing wrong with using pre-made and purchased assets, as long as they're being used alongside other content actually entirely made by the developer. The issue here is that the entire game doesn't have any other original content. They've just clumped all of these assets together in an agonizing to play mess and charged you a neat sum for the privilege. It genuinely feels like a duct tape maybe can't fix everything kind of game. I mean, come on, why the fuck are there visible roads in an era of dinosaurs, for the love of God? The movement in this game is dreadful too, an absolute clunky mess. You find yourself spamming the shift button to kind of skid around, but God forbid you do it on an elevated surface, because you will just fly off said surface and come crashing into the ground, taking a massive hit of damage. When it comes to gameplay, it isn't even slightly unfair to say that there literally isn't any. In every single era, you're given a list of mundane tasks that are completely pointless, and the whole time travel thing just feels like a convenient ruse to link together pre-purchased assets. Upgrade the time machine with a bit of metal and a pickaxe and suddenly you're in a sandworm era. Find a portal and then you're in the ancient Egyptian era. Find a totem and then you find yourself in a ruined Roman Colosseum with a bunch of cloned Roman soldiers in the center for you to kill. Once you're done with your unexplained massacre, this then triggers another portal, taking you to the Seeker Dynasty era. This one happens to be almost completely empty, save for one dude with a sword that you have to kill to get an ancient relic, which takes you to the colonial times. Are you feeling a bit lost yet? Imagine how I felt playing the damn thing. And why are we doing all of this wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff? Who fucking knows? And wandering around the colonial era are the same woolly mammoths and saber-toothed bear assets from the primitive era. You've outdone yourself, game. Not only are they the wrong animals in the wrong time period, but they're also reused from the previous point in the game. I'd almost be impressed if I wasn't so sad about my lack of meal deal right now. It's beyond unsatisfying to play, with the only reason for time traveling backwards being to get resources you can't get in certain time periods. But honestly, having to time travel just to mine salt is just fucking stupid, as is only being able to use dinosaur leather to make certain items, regardless of the time period. The main focus is a linear tech tree that just tells you what to do to progress, but each task involves some incredibly long-winded series of actions to complete. For example, mine some iron ingot, chop some wood, put it in the furnace, blow the bellows, go and get some water, pour the water on molten metal, collect one poxy iron ingot, rinse and repeat until you have enough for whatever task it is you need to complete, which again would be fine if there was any purpose of doing this. As far as calling this a survival game, that in this case is an extreme grey area. The only survival mechanic being that you need to eat, which you do so simply by spamming a ludicrous amount of berries that you collect every time you need fibre, so there's absolutely no need to hunt animals for food at all. The creatures around the map are more of an annoyance than a challenge, aggroing you on sight and just ramming into you until you die. Combat is extremely basic and lazy too. Building in this game is very much bought asset based, although the dev did write in the description that this is not a sandbox style and does not have modular building. But you really can't help but feel exasperated with the only options being buildings 1 through 5. There are so many incredible survival games out there by amazing developers that are actually worth supporting. TBJ BU2 is not one of those developers to support. The idea for a time-traveling survival game has so much potential. It would be incredible had any passion gone into this, but that's definitely not the case with this dev. To sum it up, the game is a bland, boring, unpolished mess, and just uses the same copy-pasted assets through each era. The dev is deleting any constructive criticism and throwing tantrums at anyone calling the game for what it is. Look, I know I may have seemed particularly harsh in this video, but if there's one thing in this world I absolutely hate, it's people taking other people's hard-earned money under false pretenses, and this game really is just one big lie. Be wise and spend that £15 on something better. To be honest though, standing under a freezing cold shower and ripping 3 separate £5 notes would somehow still be a better use of your money than giving it to this joke of a developer. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments which survival game you've played that's not up to standards, and once again let me know what your go-to meal deal is, and I will see you in the next worst survival game ever. Goodbye for now.